When I was a kid, my best friend at the time, Daniel, had a Nintendo 64, and we would play Smash Bros. Nonstop. He would always beat me. He was very experienced for an 8-year-old, and I got very competitive because of that. So for months I improved my technique and tried every different character, every different maneuver that I could possibly try, and eventually I beat him. Success! But the success was short-lived because he almost immediately after got an Xbox, switched it out for the Nintendo, and I have never been able to use an Xbox controller successfully. It just does not work for me. But anyway, I found that it was pretty cool how much I related to Nintendo, the company, in my tryings and failings. Because Nintendo, much like Thomas Edison and his light bulbs, never gave up. Just found so many different ways not to make a video game, not to run a business. And eventually they came out with some great hits. So going to way back when, 1648, there was a ban on playing cards in Japan that was put there to discourage gambling, which of course failed because people gambled anyway. But one of the most popular substitutes for normal playing cards were the Hanafuda cards, or flower cards, which Fusajiro Yumachi handmade. In 1889, Fusajiro Yumachi created his own company called Nintendo Koppai. And as many of you know, probably, running a company is extremely hard. So after a while, when the business got a little more successful, Fusajiro hired on more workers and expanded the company, and then retired at the age of 70 in 1929, passing it along to his son-in-law, Sekiro Kanada, who took the card company and turned it into a toy company. After passing it on to Hiroshi Yamachi, Fusajiro's grandson, the company just took a wild turn. So in the 1960s and 1970s, Nintendo actually dabbled in a taxi cab company called Dia, or Diamond Cab something, and love hotels. If you don't know what a love hotel is, you can either Google it or do the safe thing and just ask your parents or whoever. If you're under 18, please ask your parents. But anyway, those did fail after a while, so Nintendo was actually kind of forced to go back to focusing on games. And right around the 70s and 80s, they got into video games, which is, as most of you know, it's huge in our modern culture. We're all about video games, and so one of their failed video game inventions was the Virtual Boy, and I think the main reason that one failed is because it was so ahead of its time. You know, not a lot of people were thinking, yeah, I want to stick my head into a pair of goggles to play a video game. And even if they were, the graphics weren't ready. The graphics were too underdeveloped. So if you try to use a Virtual Boy, you're not going to see anything but red and kind of cruddy characters moving around. So not a lot of people liked it so much. It got passed along. It wasn't one of Nintendo's greater successes. But still, Nintendo tried and tried again, and they came out with a lot of great video games. So I'll leave the great video games to Kevin to tell you about, but Nintendo really does live up to their motto of leave luck to heaven. If you didn't know, Nintendo means leave luck to heaven or leave luck to the stars, which is really symbolic of their business ethic. I think it was pretty cool to really see just how many times Nintendo failed and they still have come out on top. So that's all from me, and I'll pass you along to Kevin.